Hey, 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 yaza, yaza, yaza. It's Saturday Night Live, Bitcoin Saturday Night Live with all the not for ready prime time players. Well, I know we have one special guest already, and we have Garbriel D Vine.
Thank you for having me, ugly.
All right, and now we have another special guest that you all know, and that is Trading with Jesus. Jesus, where are you? You're supposed to be right next to my side.
I'm coming.
Help us, Jesus.
He's coming. He's doing technique. Come on, Jesus. We're asking for your help.
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Well, I tell you
Please,
okay,
Jesus,
what we're
save
going
us.
to do, he started to trade on his account. He didn't know anything about what he was doing. And it's such a small little account, it doesn't really even tell you if he's ahead or behind. But I think he's made some money, but he didn't think he had a position on, but he does. So we're going to have some fun starting with that. You guys would want to start trading with Jesus. We'll send you that link. The link's supposed to be in the
Description.
yeah, it's in the description now. And come on, get over here, Jesus. Well, you don't need to do that. You can do that from over here. You're on, man. The show has to go on. Your whole thing's up, and we need to go look at your account.
Save us,
Jesus. To
Jesus.
run things here.
Yeah. Get a good laugh.
All right, here he is. I don't know if you met Jesus or not, but here he is.
Hello. Okay.
All right, now.
If I can work this from here.
I said, hey, we can't delay on this. You promised to start a Telegram group so people can, because they've been wanting me to do one, and I just don't want to do one.
Right.
Time. But my assistant says he wants to learn how to trade. I said, well, if you can learn it, anybody can. So he opened up a little BitMEX account with 0.01 or 0.0, a little over $100. And I asked him, have you done anything yet? He says, yeah, but I don't know what I'm doing. I said, would you have a position on? He says, I don't think so. So then he does have a position. So let's go look at your account. What are you
Because
doing?
there's an echo. Hold on. Let me see how it's. I'll be back.
I'm going to take off the mask, guys. That might help a little bit on your echo. That mask is hot, but it's fun.
Keep going.
All right. We have technical issues. So let's not look at his account until he gets here, and we'll go look at mine. You guys got a little email from me. I don't do live recommendations, but I know a lot of you want to, so I did send out a tweet and did happen to catch this little link down. Hopefully a few of you did too. That's about it. Let's see if I can go into my little account here, application. Let's go. Oh, okay. It's already there. This is, wow, we're dropping some more. All right. You know what? I'm tempted. No, I'm just staying short. But this is your account. So let me go see what you have. Now, he opened this thing with, he doesn't have it set up the way I would set it up. So let's see if I can set it up. Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. All right.
What I minimize this. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm into it. All right, now let's see. You don't have, I can see where you got all kinds of little problems here. Let's see if I can. He went in and started trading, and I didn't even train him on how to do it. So, okay, there's his account, there's his wallet. And his wallet was 0.01. And actually, he's made, gosh darn, you've made 40% on your account, youngster.
Okay. I gotta fix the echo.
And you're kind of over trading. But look at that. So let's go see. I got to teach you how to set up this thing because you don't even have it set up right. Let me go back here to trading because I don't know. Let's see if I can do this.
Let me see if I can fix the echo first.
What are you trying to fix?
The echo, because they say there's an echo.
All right. We've got an echo, so he's going to try and fix the echo.
Give me a
it doesn't even know how to operate the platform. And it looks like he got a little bit lucky to start with. And we'll try and look and see what kind of trades he did. He said, I don't know what I'm doing. And he didn't know whether he's buying or selling or what, but he wanted to try it out. So, okay.
Well,
I don't hear an echo.
no, they say they can. I just heard it.
Okay.
Ah, crap.
We're trying to fix the echo, people.
Hmm. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's funny how we think we're all set and ready to go. We were here with plenty of time, and then when we get on live, something's not right.
That's better. I hear no echo anymore.
Oh, okay. The echo's gone.
Okay, good.
All right. Okay.
Good.
All right, Eddie. Let's get on here and look at your account. I got to do something to put your. Where is the? Oh, customize. That's what I need to do.
Oh, here it is.
I need to go here. We need to put in.
So the echo's gone, right?
Yeah. Now we need to go like that.
Definitely sounds great.
All right. That's good.
Good. Yeah, minor glitches, guys.
Price chart. Yeah. Anyway, I can't figure it out. But that's his account. It looks like he opened it with 0.01. He's got a position margin. He's got a profit in there. Let's go look at his trades. Wow. Those are realized. Let's go this way. We're going to go to the trade history. And there's everything. Hey, you've been getting some funding. Now, guys, if you're going to do this, Jesus is promoting his own BITMEX account. So I told him, you know what? You need to have a Bitcoin income if you're going to do this, have people sign up under you. And so he'll get a little, you'll get a 10% off your commissions at BITMEX. And my assistant here is got his own income stream and got his own little business now, trading with Jesus. You'll probably be an internet star within a year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
All right. So, wow. And you don't know what you're doing at all here.
I told you.
Okay, so on July 15th, you started funding. Oh, well, it looks like you did quite a bit of trading. Let's see that because look at all that funding you got. Okay, let's look at your trading. On July 17th, you bought it at 98.83, 98.86, and 98.32, $10-$20 worth.
I kind of didn't want to do it because I was kind of like, well, you can say embarrassed or.
Oh man, it looks like you got killed on that trade though. 93 went down to 93.38.
We were gonna do it last week, right?
Yeah, and then here you bought it. I don't know what all you did, but here you bought here, and you sold there. I don't know what you're doing. So I'm gonna have to sit down and teach you the basics of this thing. And I can't even. It's such a small account. I'm not even sure how to read this thing. Is that a proper? Let's see. What did your original balance? Your original deposit was, or balance was, 0.01. Okay. So we go here.
Careful not to.
0.01 in your position.
I would not click on that deposit page and show the address again. Don't want to dox your friend.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up. He doesn't even know what he's doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. Thank you. I mean, these guys that really know Bitcoin can.
Right.
Need that's why Gabriel's there to.
Not ready for prime time.
Security. Not ready for prime time. They were all ready. Well, we're definitely not on this thing. I don't know what's going on here, and neither does Eddie. But it looks like he is got a it looks like he's got a positive balance. Position trade, position margin. No, your available balance. No, that's right. Position balance, margin balance. So you look like you're ahead. So when we get off, I'll go through this with you and make sure you understand what's going on, because he says, I started trading, but he had no clue what he was doing. So what I'm going to do is log out of your account. So we'll just go ahead and log out, okay? And I will log into my account. I think I can do that. And I'm probably doxing myself now on that, but let's go 99. Oh, that's not right. 984684. All right, and I should get in there. That changes every time, so I don't dox myself when I do that. Okay, so here's my account, guys. And my equities went up a little bit, and you see, let's move it. Whoops, let's move this thing up here, maybe. Yeah. So I've got a little position on and a little bit short, and I've tweeted that out that I sold it when it took out the 2-week or 2-day high in here. I was a seller. I actually sold the spike right in there, and then wasn't smart enough to take a profit, so I sold some more up here. And I covered most of it, and staying short, we'll see what happens. It's, this is not a really good market. It's certainly not a positioning market. That's it. I'm not going to talk about trading because this is Saturday Night Live, but I know a lot of you guys got that tweet, and I thought I'd show you the trading account. All right. So tell me, Eddie, what do you think you did on your account?
To be honest, I really don't know.
Well, I don't know what you did either. I'm going to have to really sit down and kind of look at it to see what you did. But let me see if I can get out of this thing. How do I stop sharing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm more comfortable this way. This is not Ask Ugly Anything, guys. This is Bitcoin Saturday Night Live, so we're here to have fun. And I don't know who's going to be joining us. I think Kestutis there might be several other people joining us. Hopefully Eileen will hop on. I mean, I've sent out the tweet. But Gabriel, welcome back. I think you were on our very first Bitcoin Saturday Night Live show. Is that correct? And it was a big, if I remember right, it was with Tyler Jenks. And I pulled up Tyler Jenks about 2 weeks ago. I broadcast the sign-in line on my Twitter account instead of the Hangouts page. So,
you weren't even ready for public access at that time.
No.
That's true.
But hey, we are, having fun, and we are, believe it or not, people are following us. I don't know why they would want to. I got just a notice of that coin Jazera. Have you started reading any of their articles? That coin Jazera, it's that parody website on Bitcoin. It's just hilarious sometimes.
It's just like a crypto onion, basically.
Yeah, they've really got some good stuff. I mean, I think I do fairly good content, but I don't think I'm good enough to contribute to them. Those guys put out some really good stuff.
Yeah, comedy writing is its own beast, man. You don't want to screw with that. That's some serious stuff. Pun intended.
And they're kind of anonymous because I sent them a note and said, hey, you know what? I sure would like to have one of you guys come and speak at the conference. And they don't even get back with me. It's like,
no way. Get lost. No way, bro. Yeah, no, I went out on a limb. I mean, I decided early on that, even though this is, a cryptographically informed field and, Bitcoin, it is definitely a security risk to go public at any time. I don't have a lot of Bitcoin, but it doesn't matter. It's still a risk. But I decided early on that the field, the information, getting the information out there and inspiring people with what I thought to be the truth, which, in 2013 and 2014, when I was interested in going online and going public, when I started tweeting about it and going on videos, I felt like the truth was underrepresented in the media out there. And now there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoin maximalists that are pumping out really good content and just really accurate stuff and interesting new perspectives and stuff. And Twitter is, there was quite a bit of activity on Twitter and Reddit back then, but now it's like you can really find great, consistent content out there, which was totally not the case. I was scouring the web for good content back then. But I decided that it would be a lot more effective if I came out there under my real name, real identity. People can see my face. People that know me can try to diss me and say that what a jerk I am, or whatever it is. I'm totally out there on a limb, saying what I believe in for many years. So, yeah.
Well, the reason I wanted you to be on the cruise is I've been a long follower of the World Crypto Network, and of course Thomas Hunt is coming, and I've got Max is coming. I just had Max. We did a show yesterday, but you have always been one of my favorite. I liked Tone Vays was hands down my favorite, and you were number 2. In fact, I had written an article and sent it to Tone. I said, hey, would you mind I don't know if you ever sent it to you, but can you send this to Gabriel? And I'd like to get your thoughts on it. And it was something about imputed value on goals. It's on the website, but yeah, I mean, you seem to have a really good fundamental understanding of the economics, and but you also seem to know the back end fairly well too. And I agree with you completely. I believe in Bitcoin, and we are sticking our necks out there. Look, Bitcoin is safe. They're not. They love to, but they can't shut down Bitcoin. But they can shut the Bitcoin voices out, and they can't. When we do make ourselves publicly known, we are taking a very real risk. In more ways than one. I think the number one thing is, eventually what are the various governments going to be doing? But I'm old enough. You know what? I've already been around the block. I've literally done my time, and so there's not much they can do about me. I mean, if it does, it's all right. I've lived a full life, and I'm having fun doing this. So I'd like to understand that.
I'd like to correct you a little bit. I definitely don't have a deep understanding of economics. In fact, I don't have a deep understanding of any of the 4, fields, what I like to call pillars of the Bitcoin, sort of system, right? The 4 pillars are economics, cryptography, free open source, free Libra open source software, and game theory. I am far from an expert in all of those. But I just have the requisite knowledge to put it all together, and I do have a talent for doing that. I'm more of a Gestalt thinker than most, and that's kind of the thing that you have to do with this. A lot of specialists in any one of those fields have a lot of trouble because they don't have the requisite minimum knowledge in the other 3 or in 2 or whatever. You have to have a little bit of knowledge in all 4 of those in order to get why Bitcoin works. And I was able to achieve that early on, but I'm definitely not anywhere near, a guy like, of course, Seyfedin Amous is a Austrian economics professor. It's not fair to compare myself, but even, Pierre Rochard, he got into economics when he was in high school, and Michael Goldstein too, when he was like, 18 or something, he was real into Austrian economics. These kids have been at it for 10 years and they're still very young. And I'm a musician in my background. I don't have a deep knowledge in any one of the 4 fields, but I do have just enough understanding of the digital world and human beings, human behavior, economics, and able to kind of put it together. And my specialty is really culture, and there's not a whole lot of people talking about that. So I just wanted to kind of say that I'm definitely not an economics expert. I go out there, put my foot in my mouth on Twitter all the time, and I'm only too happy to be corrected.
Well, you are, in my mind, because you have a good understanding of free market money, and yeah, you convey it in a way that we can understand. Because it's kind of like I make my living trading, and I don't have the math background. I don't have all these technical tools that everybody uses. But I match what I do against anyone because I can take more out with less than anyone. And I'm not even a very good trader, as anybody that's looked at my tracker can see. I said, look, you guys learn more from my mistakes. But hey, you can't, you need to stop calling us Bitcoin maximalists. We are Bitcoin standard bearers now. That's a name. Now, I understand that at one time, I wore that name with honor because it was an insult. It was meant to be an insult by Vitalik Buterin, and so we all grabbed hold of it. Yeah, it's exactly who we are. But you know what? I'm not going to take those labels anymore. I am not a part of the crypto world. You guys need Tom. I need to talk with Thomas Hunt. He needs to be the World Bitcoin Standard Network and not the World Crypto Network, because I don't want to be any part of that crypto world anymore. But then I kind of got Max corrected me on that. Said, well, you know, originally crypto didn't mean that at all. It was cryptography. And so he kind of beat me on that one. It wasn't, the problem is they adopted it.
You know, Ugly, the other historical little tidbit there that you're not aware of, most likely, is there was a channel before World Crypto Network called the World Bitcoin Network. And it was put together. I forgot the dude's name. He was great. He put together so many excellent, also a musician like me, producer, composer. And he got really into Bitcoin back in 2012 or whatever, and started putting out these fantastic videos in 2013, 14, and even I think 15. And the World Bitcoin Network was his name for his videos. But he about around 2015, during the bear market, this guy who had his videos are still online. They are excellent explainers. He uses a blackboard to explain mining and stuff. And of course, that name was already taken. So that's one of the reasons why Thomas picked it. But he actually got a bee in his bonnet about miners. And he for some reason created in his mind, miners are somehow similar to the U.S. Congress. And when the U.S. Congress disallowed anonymous votes, in my opinion, he rightly, called that a huge mistake in the 70s when they started allowing, or when they disallowed anonymous voting in the Congress. He found that was a great.
I didn't know they did that. When did they have anonymous voting in Congress?
I think before around 74, 72, something like that. All the votes were anonymous, and you couldn't point to any one particular vote. And I understand the need for transparency.
1972 or 18? Is that recently? Really? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I gotta look into that. I didn't know.
It was early 70s. Yeah, sometime around then. And he made a really great case for why that was a terrible idea and introduced tons and tons of fraud. But then he made the parallel that Bitcoin miners are just like the U.S. Congress, and that we shouldn't allow anonymous Bitcoin miners because it has the same incentive structure as the U.S. Congress, which hardly anybody agrees with him on that. And he just dropped out completely because he's like, no, we need to we need to dox all the miners now and make sure that they all have public identity so that they have to be whatever. It's kind of like me, or I'm thinking like, oh, now I got to be, when you're public under your real name, there's a certain amount of responsibility or accountability that is forced upon you. And I'm assuming that was his thought. And I was just like, wow, dude, after all those great, amazing videos that you put together, you really don't get that one little part of it. And he just left the community completely, and he lost his belief in Bitcoin, well before the 2017 runout.
Wow.
But I still highly recommend his explainer videos. They're so great for lay people to understand.
I'll have to look at those. Yeah, you don't want to get too dogmatic in this stuff. You really don't. And, and that, like I say, I'm not dogmatic at all. I mean, there might be something better than Bitcoin come along, but until it's the longest chain with proof of work, it's not. So I just meet that standard, guys. I'm open-minded, Roger Ver. As soon as your Bcash is, he has all these other qualities that are quite worthless, but the only thing that counts is that longest chain with proof of work. So, hey, we got another guest here. We got Gus. Well, how you doing, Gus?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing well. How are you guys? Hey, Gabriel.
Yeah, I saw I got,
hello.
I got my pajamas on. I guess it's only 7 o'clock here, so you don't have to have your pajamas on yet.
Yeah, maybe I'll put them on later.
I don't know if we'll get anybody from Europe or not. That's why we did the one pajama party there at 10 o'clock, because it's about 3 or 4 in the morning over there.
Is it?
Yeah. So I think Zezo Duarte said he might come on, but I think Thomas is overseas too right now, so I doubt if we'll see him. And
I was stuck in a volcano mine in Guam, so I couldn't make it.
Are you pulling my leg, or is that true?
Wait, we used the live. I was helping set up the live magma heat exchanger to power the miners.
Well, did you? is that where you get your lava lamp? And where is your lava lamp anyway?
That's right. That is exactly right. Actually, my lava lamps were stolen. There was a break-in, and all they took were the lava lamps. So, you know, they knew what was
Wow.
important to me. They really wanted to hit below the belt.
Where's my
Exactly.
lava lamp? You know, the only reason I have
upstairs.
go get the lava lamp, because the only reason I got that is because I wanted it there, because that one of my heroes always had a lava lamp in the background, and that was one of my trademarks. And now we have this other studio, but it's still up there in the first studio. Yeah, I got to plug that in so you'll feel more at home and come on more
Thank
often,
you.
Gabriel.
I really miss mine. Oh, it's so sad. Yeah.
All right. Well, the goat lady, are you ready to come on?
Yeah, I will bring the.
Okay, I guess she's coming, but that's okay. So, goat lady's going to come on here. We're going to talk a little bit about the cruise. So,
Nice
all
shirt, by
right.
the way.
Just, oh, thank you very much. Yeah, she made this, and this is actually part of my pajama outfit. And here it
Oh,
is. This one
very
actually says, "Whoa! Oh, there went the lava lamp."
oh my God!
It
Don't
didn't
tell me it
break.
broke.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Okay, yeah, they're not stuck together, people.
Don't
The
let her
lava-
carry that. It's too heavy. It's
Yeah,
heavy.
the bulb comes out. The bulb comes out of the bottom part.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you never
yeah,
want to.
yeah,
You
yeah.
never want to accidentally open it because it's oil in there. It's real hard to clean up.
Oh yeah.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
I was thinking of.
Gabriel says, "Do not ever drop this because it's all oil and it's
Yeah,
really
yeah, I know.
Really big. I probably want to put it over here because I don't know if I have a plug-in. But do you have a plug-in?
So I'm seeing
Okay.
a question here on the chat. Here, Anna Leal asks, you said in a video that the U.S. government can confiscate people's savings accounts. Can you elaborate on that? Why would they do that? And what are the ramifications in Bitcoin and the economy? Boy, yeah, maybe why don't
You want to
take
answer
this, bro?
that? Go ahead.
I think you should take
You know
this.
what? Well, Gus knows more than ever. He lived in Latvia. He lived under the Soviet Union for a while, and he actually is an inspiration for me. I'm working on an article that that Bitcoin is the new America. So, Gus, why don't you answer this first? Then we'll add our two bits.
All right. So the question was, how come U.S. government can confiscate your savings?
Yeah,
Well-
the idea was can you, let's see here. Can you allow, let's see, is confiscate people's savings accounts specifically. Can you elaborate? Why would they do it? And what are the ramifications for Bitcoin and the economy?
Well, what I can tell is that they're already confiscating a lot of your, a lot of what you earn, right? So we denominate everything in dollars, but really what you earn is, the buying power. And as the time goes by, it keeps being diluted from you, right? In multiple ways. One way is hyperinflation. Obviously, everybody knows that, from
Or even just regular inflation.
sure, even just regular inflation since 1970s, we no longer have gold standard, and since that point, anything that you earn in dollars, and if you keep dollars, you're losing that over the years. So that's the confiscation that you are experiencing right now. Then the Social Security, that's another way to confiscate your money, is just 401k is another way for confiscating your money, right? So what you are earning, you do not get to keep, right? There is no saving systems anymore. If you were to say invest in something like anything, stocks, let's say 1970s when we lost the gold standard, or real estate, that's where you should be keeping your wealth. If you want to keep the earning power the value that you earn, right? So for example, you have people who did understand that and no longer kept the money in a sock, so to speak, right? And they went and they put all the money in the real estate or different stocks or assets and whatever. So those people ended up doing much better. They not only maintained their standard of living, their standard of living improved over the years. And there's other people who didn't do that, right? And then they trusted the government. Yeah, go ahead.
Side note, that is called the Keynesian effect.
Yeah, let me interrupt for a little moment because I think I know what this what the question is about. I spoke the other day, I think on Tone Bays or somewhere that where he was asking about the stock market, and I said, well, I think gold and the stock market and Bitcoin look like they could all three go into hyperwave. And then he was asking me if I trade stocks, and I said I don't. I said, and then how about savings account? I said no, I don't have an IRA or any of those savings account. I said in my view, there's a very real risk that they will be confiscated. And he made the comment, which I thought was excellent. He said, well, you know what? If the government ever takes $1 out of those savings accounts, the price of Bitcoin is going to go tenfold in a week. If it's at 10,000, it's going to go 100 to 200, 300, who knows where it would go. And to me, that is a very real situation. I think we need to look. I know we need to look at what happened when they confiscated gold. I don't think the gold will get confiscated. We're not set up that way, but there's nothing that prevents them from just saying, you know what, we need to. The have-nots just don't have enough savings right now. So you people that have these IRAs and your savings account, we're going to do a 30% haircut overnight, and it's gone, and it's redistributed. Of course, 60% will go to the bureaucrats, and the other 40 will get redistributed, and people will get maybe a free meal or something. But that's to me the real danger, and I think you're living in an illusion. You have to remember what the government giveth, the government can take it away. And if we have these ridiculous taxes anyway, but they made an exception. They said, well, we let you have these savings and you don't have to pay any taxes on it until you take it out. And just as they gave that to you, they can instantly take it away by decree. And I think I think it's more likely to happen than not happen. And that's my view. And well, I'll let you take it from there, Gabriel.
Can I just comment one thing
Please.
about that? That would be the obvious confiscation. I'm saying that the obvious confiscation is something that we can be concerned about. But what about the one that isn't obvious, that is already happening, that you don't see? That is the best way for you to keep you sort of pacified with the entertainment, with all these kind of things, and keep you on this hamster wheel and take it silently and slowly, and saying that we're doing this for your own good. So that's the one you need to be worried about, because it's happening right now to you. Okay, that's what I have to say about that.
Look, bail-ins are a real thing. Governments have done that many times, and all they have to do is, in many states of the United States, for example, they only have to say that you are a suspect. They don't even have you don't even have to be found guilty of a crime for them to liquidate your account and say, oh, this is now evidence, right? You can't touch this money. We're taking your money out of the bank account. So and it's not your money. It's the banks, and they have a banking license that they get from the government. So bail-ins are real. They could happen if you piss off a politician, and that politician's connected properly. They can pull the strings and pull the money right out of your bank account. So yes, that can happen. Plus, they're stealing from you with taxation and inflation.
And the question is asked here too on the chat, says, well, what happens when they confiscate Bitcoin? Well, that's what we were talking about earlier. They can't confiscate the Bitcoin. That's why we believe in Bitcoin. What they can do is persecute those that they know hold Bitcoin. And so that's what Gabriel and I were talking about, that we are taking a very big risk making it public, that we believe this is sound money. But I believe that we're at a crossroads where we just have to, because I don't want the world economy to go into collapse. And Bitcoin is our hope of making going and having a smooth monetary transition. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean the freedoms that we fought for when we implemented the American Constitution. It was not easy. People paid dearly, and many with their lives. And I'm not going to be at all surprised if we see that in the Bitcoin community. But I'm also of the opinion that as Bitcoin standard bearers, we are going to be the trendsetters in culture. We are going to fashion, morality, and all kinds of things. It's a whole new paradigm that's coming on. And this now I'm going to bring in the goat lady, because that's what I keep teaching her. One of her dreams is she would like to be, known as a world renowned fashion designer. And I said, well, I know you have the ability to do that. And she's from a very small and poor town here in Mexico, but the way that can be done is through Bitcoin, because you've expanded your market. The people that are in Bitcoin are for the most part, if they've been in it for a while, wealthier than most other people. They are also, very entrepreneurial, and to me, that's where the future is. And I also think that's where the future is on Bitcoin. It's not going to be banking the unbanked. But it's going to be more and more entrepreneurs learning about Bitcoin and learning how to use it in their business. And so that's what I call, there's really just two kinds of entrepreneurs in the world. There's those that have Bitcoin and those that do not. And one of my goals is, like on the website, we have created a little revenue stream. So if you like the work that we're doing, you promote it, and somebody signs up under your affiliate code, you have a little Bitcoin income stream, and you're going to see more and more of that. And I think the direction where Bitcoin is going now is just fantastic. I think that the ICOs are going down where they belong. You're starting to see these conferences. Ever since Tone started as unconfiscatable, people are emphasizing Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone. So anyway, my love, tell us about on this conference. She's the entertainment person on this, so tell us.
Oh, yeah. The night of the 19th. Okay, the night of the 19th, we had plans for have a welcome dinner. Remember that we talked about, and we can have a dinner with everybody. We can share with everybody. We won't be just there in one table, or the people that sit at one table and use there. No, I planning everybody meet everybody. We can move the table by table, and we can share opinions. We can meet us, not just, over there is ugly, over there is
like a carnivory dinner, but it won't be carnivory.
Remember that? Something like that. That's so nice. It was so nice. Everybody are sharing something with everybody, and not just, Tony is over there. No, we want to share with the people.
Well, the number one thing is that this thing's going to be limited to 60. That's it. There's only 60 people, including the speakers. So that's going to knock it way down. You're not going to be able to get a ticket once we're sold out. We did find out, however, somebody actually was able to sign on the cruise for themselves, and they were a senior, so they actually got a senior discount. So we are able. Eileen's not on. Hopefully she'll step in here later and tell us about it. But I know that if you're over 60 or whatever the senior level is, 60 or 65, the tickets are a little bit less.
Oh, that's great.
And he actually signed up and got the whole cruise, and then he bought the ticket, which is fine with us. I mean, you can do it that way. If you can buy it cheaper through the cruise, go run on Carnival and get on that cruise between the 19th and the 20th. Like I say, I knew this was going to be a pain, but I forgot all about Homeland Security, and so it is a pain in the butt. I mean, we have to have. I went ahead and blocked out the tickets. I paid for all the rooms, but I can't have my name on them. have to have individual names. We have to be exact name that you have on your passport. If you don't have a passport, you need to have a driver's license and birth certificate, or you're not going to get on board. And I know it's a pain, because last year I took our son to the World Cup, and I had the same problem. I didn't have on several of the airline tickets. I didn't have exactly his name exactly right, because they had these long names. So I had to pay 2 or 3 times. They wouldn't honor the discount ticket. I had to buy a new ticket, and it was 3 times the price. And some of them said, "Well, sorry, we're full. Even at 3 times, we can't get you on." So
Okay,
it's a mess.
and the 20 we had the conference.
Yes, all day long.
All day long, the conference.
That
And
evening.
the 29th, we will be we can have a meeting with the VIP members in our cabin, right?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how big that cabin is. We got the biggest one there is, but I don't know if we can get that many. That's still real small. We'll have to see.
We had to see.
Well,
We had to
we'll
see.
work
I
this
hope
out.
in 3 weeks we can go and see and check it out first. Everything are ready for everybody.
Yeah, but please sign up, guys, because I really want to get this taken care of, and I'm supposed to have it done, by the 22nd. I think I'll probably extend it till the end of the month. We're going to go on vacation here at the end of next week, and I would just want it to be sold out so I don't have to, be promoting it anymore and just focus on the content. And focus on making it the best conference ever. I'm really pleased with the.
Yeah, repeat everybody who will be the speakers there at the conference.
Gabriel's going to be one, and Kestutis is another one. We've got Tyler Jenks is going to come, and he's when he was
Zezo
on.
Duarte.
Zezo Duarte is going to be on there, and he's going to talk about
We
getting
can
around.
have a lot of fun with him.
And then we're going to have Victor, he's writing a program for us. I'll tell you one I'm looking forward to, and that's Juan Gulp. He's a specialist in privacy and security and inheritance. Those are all big factors that you have to take into account if you're into Bitcoin. I've got Daisy Kommen, who is the photographer at a lot of these events. And I said, yes, Daisy, I want you to come and be not just a photographer, but I want you to speak, because this is the working man's Bitcoin cruise. This is specialized for people that they don't want to just hodl Bitcoin. They really want to start using it as a way, as a store, not just a store of value. I define it 3 ways. There's the hodl, and everybody knows what that is. And it's hard to hodl. It's a different way of thinking. And then there's what I call the saving, and I spell that SAYVV, and that's a distortion of the word savvy. Savvy, because if you're savvy, you're going to reward yourself for saving. And every now and again, you want to upgrade your computer, take your wife out to dinner. In my case, you got an F-150 this year, and we just bought a bus. But the bus we bought is not just saving; it's also building, because we're going to be using that. How many people does the bus hold now?
18 people.
18 people. So we will have that bus to be.
When we have some meetings here, we can bring people from San Diego or at the border,
Right.
or from the airport, and we can get them directly. We don't have to worry about the security, about other people. That's more safety for us and people that come and visit us. Yep.
So anyway, sign up for it. I know we're getting more and more people that are signing up. If once you pay for, now we have a lot of people that have registered for the conference, but they haven't paid for the conference. Please, if you've done that, pay for the ticket, because once we're sold out, you can't come back and you say, well, I registered and I never got anything. Well, it's because you never paid for it. You need to send it's a 20th of a Bitcoin. You use my link or somebody else's link. If you're a member, you get a 15% discount. So it's 0.0425 Bitcoin, which it's about $500. It was half of that when I first priced it, but since we can't get more people on it, I'm keeping it at that price, because it is going to be a super conference even at that price.
Yeah, and next day, Saturday, 2021. The people who wanted to come with us to the race, we wanted to be the first persons,
Yeah, we get there early. As
We
soon
have to
as we get off
early
we want to be the first off the boat and get out here as soon as we.
Yes.
If you've never seen a Baja race, it's something you really need to see. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, the 7 a.m. We will be there at the race. Everybody, if the people who want to share with us, want to be there with us at the race, but it's amazing. It's the Baja 400 first edition. I think it's amazing. It's for me. I'm fan. We are fan from the Red Baja off-road, and after that, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have a dinner there at the. We have Lunch,
Esther,
breakfast,
is a
lunch.
resort, very nice resort there. And then
Yeah,
we'll
at the
hop on the
base of-
bus and we'll come here and we'll have some kind of reception here at the Bitcoin House. We might even do a show from here. Oh, here.
We can make the show here. We can have something for the people. We can share with the people. Oh, you know what?
Should
We
I
can
introduce our cameraman for the cruise? Oh, okay. He doesn't.
You know what? What we gonna make for our guest?
What's
We
that?
can bring the best wine of the wine country here in Baja California. Remember
Yes.
the wine
Probably
that we
have to do
had
it here
last
because if I
week?
remember right, we had a problem taking liquor onto the boat.
No, here in the
Yeah,
Beacon
here,
House.
yeah.
At the Beacon House, we can give a tasting to the people.
Yeah.
Probably we can have
Yeah,
different kind of
yeah,
wines,
yeah,
and
we'll just-
later on they want to return for enjoy
Yeah.
the wine country here
Yeah,
in Ensenada.
Ensenada, it's at the Ruta de Vino. It's the biggest wine. It's a huge, wine country here, and it's they a very large craft brew industry here in this area. I'm just
Oh, and
amazed.
they have different activities. This morning they will have a bike ride. Remember which one you have with your sons?
Yeah.
And the Rosarito to Ensenada. They have here today, early in the morning, the Valle de Guadalupe.
Oh, they had one here today?
Valley
Okay.
today. And they come to Ensenada and they return to Guadalupe Valley. And they have a different activities.
I
They
took our
have
daughter on a
singers.
bike ride today. Did she tell you about that?
She told me something about
Okay.
that.
See that?
Yeah, but okay, that is Saturday. That is the day, this Saturday. But we have to be back to the cruise 5 p.m.
Yep. All right.
And we can have a party. We have to see what day we can use for have a party at the cruise. For
That night.
that night,
Right,
Saturday
that
night,
night,
because
that Saturday night.
Sunday
Then
we're
you
going
get,
back.
Sunday you get up first, when you wake up in the morning, there you are, you're back in LA. So, it's a great cruise because it's very short, and if you've never been on a cruise, it's a great way to figure out if you like them or not. So, I mean, if you like it, and my goal, if we can make this work, we probably never be able to do it again while there's a race on, but we can do it during the off season and really, really get some headliner news and cut the price down to almost nothing except for the cruise and see if we can fill up an entire boat and do it that way. And here, guys, if you're here to see Gabriel or to see Kestutis, sign up through them because they have affiliate codes. So, I mean, you don't have to be coming to see me or the goat lady. You might want to come and see Gabriel. So their links and all the speaker links are down below on the website. So again, I'm trying to fill this out as quickly as possible because I want to get it behind me. I feel like what do they call that when they have a telethon or they're trying to raise money or something? That's why I feel like I'm running a telethon every day until I get this thing sold out.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? Okay, Gabriel.
Yes, I'm answering some.
data.
Yeah, I'm answering some questions in the chat actually.
Okay.
I'm talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm talking about malinvestment and stuff here, but do you have any questions for me about the cruise or anything? I'm actually still working on my talk. We've got a little time until that needs to be ready. Got a couple of months, so yeah, I'm working on it now. It's obviously
that's what right. I just want to get that. Well, I knew it would be, and I that's why I want to get this thing sold out because that's the next thing is I really, I want this to be just a cruise that everyone will remember forever, and it kind of if it works, it's kind of we'll see. I mean, the Bitcoin working man's Bitcoin cruise. If we make this thing fly, we'll just see where we can go with it. I mean, getting one on, I didn't want this to be big because when you do something new, you always know you don't know what you're getting into, and that's exactly what this is about. So yeah, I noticed I had a question there. Do you think storing data on Bitcoin blockchain will be a viable use case?
I'm going to say yes, but the data will be tiny. That's my prediction. So yes, people will utilize the Bitcoin blockchain as a data storage, a trustable data storage medium like they are now, but not on a large scale. So basically what I think is going to happen is, fees will be increasing as the years and decades go on. They'll go higher and higher. and you know, the use cases will narrow down to those which require the blockchain, storing data in the blockchain, and make a lot of money for the system that's using it. For example, and there's ways to compress data, and even now they do things like hashing. So basically, you take you know, a lot of numbers. You could take, you know, terabytes of data and make a single 25 character you know, 25, you know, characters long, and just stick that in the Bitcoin blockchain, and you do a 1 Satoshi transaction, and you pay your 30 cents or whatever it is to put that in. But that could actually represent, you could say, oh, well, you know, this existed back then, and I can prove it because here's the hash that I put in at this date. So you can use it for sort of like as a digital decentralized notary. Today, of course, it's used a lot more than it will be used in the future, but that is really the only way to do it. You won't be able to store anything larger than tiny amounts of money, because tiny amounts of data, because everybody else is trying to use that to do the other most important, you know, data storage, which is money tracking who owns what money.
Yeah, I have a question for you, since you seem to know a little bit about this. Yeah, because I know people send messages and stuff on Bitcoin transactions. How do you do that? I mean, I use a tracer. So do I just type a message at the end of the address, or is there an easy way to do it, or do you have to be, you know, technologically savvy to do that?
I think you got to be a little bit technologically savvy. There's BitMessage, and there's some other protocols that allow you to communicate, but it's definitely not something that's built into Bitcoin itself. It's apps that are built on top of it. So my knowledge isn't that deep on that, but it does exist. It's a bit more like a message board in rather than email, but you can, the idea is generally you post something on the message board that can only be decrypted by the recipient. So it's public, but nobody can read it. And then, you know, your recipient, you send the private key to decrypt it.
Well,
I see another question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I know there was a time when people would put public messages on there. Can you put a public message at the end of an address? Or
definitely. Yeah.
I forgot what it was, but
yeah.
How do you just put it? You just put it at the end of the address, or
no. It's nothing like that. You're putting it in the what is the name of the? It's called the. I want to say Coinbase, but that's not it at all. The Coinbase is actually the miner reward. Or is it maybe, there's a name for the data chunk where you put that data. It's the opcode. No, opcode is, I can't remember exactly the name of it. It might be opcode. Maybe somebody on the chat can correct me, but there's a place in your transaction where you can place arbitrary data. Maybe it's opcode. But yeah, that you can put all sorts of different things in there, but it's very small. It's like, you know, whatever, 100 bytes or some very small amount. Anybody can correct me on that if you want to jump in.
Okay. Hey, DePaul is asking. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. DePaul
is asking: is there a way to stop people from losing Bitcoin? What happens when there are not enough to be functionally useful? Well, I think the price has stopped a lot of it. I mean, it's not like I saw some studies on it, and you know, there's an estimate that 3 million have been lost, but as the price goes up, it's just getting to be rare and rare because people realize it's something that needs to be protected.
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, you go through decades and decades. We could lose a lot. So the point is, no, there's not a way to stop people. There's no way to stop you from losing the dollars in your wallet. It's property. They're not abundant. Bitcoin is scarce. That's why it can make a good money. So no, there's no way to stop you from losing it anymore. There's the way to stop you from losing a hammer or a bicycle. Or a gold coin in your pocket. And if you did try to implement something, then it would no longer be decentralized property like a gold coin is. But your question, your second question, and what really, I mean, the way is to reduce it with education and with tools, easy to use tools that are highly secure. That's the only way to reduce losing Bitcoin losses. But there's no such thing as not enough Bitcoin to be functionally useful, because not only do we already have sub-Satoshi amounts being traded on the Lightning Network, which goes down to millisatoshi, which is 100 billionth of a Bitcoin. But with code upgrades, probably would take a hard fork. we could just divide further. So that's the advantage of a digital sound money that gold could never do, because you can always go down to one atom of gold, but there's no such thing as the smallest piece of Bitcoin. You can just keep going to infinity. So, you know, one over infinity amount of Bitcoin. So even if there's only one Satoshi in the entire system, we can break that up into another 100 quadrillion, you know, units, and just keep breaking it up. And a lot of misguided and possibly, you might say, unintelligent people have equated divisibility with abundance, and it definitely is not. Your Bitcoin, everybody's Bitcoin completely retains its value, even if it's more divisible. In fact, it slightly increases the utility of Bitcoin, and therefore it might increase in value through, you know, natural trading. But certainly, dividing up your Bitcoin into more pieces does not make more Bitcoin. It's the same amount of actual money.
I would like to
Okay, I
comment on
wanted
that,
to
if I
answer
may.
the second. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I would like to comment on that. So one thing that what Gabriel mentioned, that Bitcoin is actually quite losable and confiscatable in a general sense. Now, it has a potential to be unconfiscatable. However, you have to use it in a correct manner, because if you're just using as in a general sense, that is very trackable actually, and it's very confiscatable, right? Most people keep it on exchanges. And they do this because of habits. They've been doing this for years, and they have these habits to just trust the third party. And it's something new for them to rely on themselves. And if you tell them, say, okay, here's how you secure Bitcoin correctly, their eyes roll over and they say, you know what, now I'm going to keep it in exchange. So let's just be very real about this, that for most people, Bitcoin is very confiscatable. But there's for a fraction of people who do use Bitcoin correctly and secure it correctly, it's not confiscatable for these people, okay? And yes, we can educate these people, but there's a threshold over there where more education will not bring you more results. So the idea here is that you can lose anything, just like Gabriel said. You can lose anything. You can lose Bitcoin, right? But there's one way that you can minimize that loss, and that is if you contain the let's say brain wallet, for example, right? I said this before, and this is one of the best ways to keep your Bitcoin is memorizing the seed. And it's not difficult to memorize the seed. There's all sorts of ways you can imprint it in your memory, and you will never forget about it, right? There's this exercise that you can do, and you can spend like half hour doing that exercise, and you can have that in your memory. Now, yes, you can also lose the memory, right? But that's the best that we can do right now, right? So if you do want to store your Bitcoin correctly, store it in your brain. Now, there's another way that you can do it, and it's with your biometrics. And if you do the biometric combination with your brain, that is the best way possible, to secure your Bitcoin. Now, we don't have this technology at this point. That is why I'm pushing this idea of BioWallet, where BioWallet would be where you have a multiple biometric points that is combined with the combination that you obviously store in the memory. Only you know the combination. For example, it could be my retina scan, my middle, my index finger, and then my pinky, right? There's a little bit of memory required, but everything else is stored on your body. Now, of course, a lot of people say, well, what if people steal your... I mean, we can only go as far, but this is what we have the best so far is a brain wallet. And then hopefully in the future, we're going to have BioWallet. So only in those cases, Bitcoin is not confiscatable. And
I disagree that it's not confiscatable. If somebody finds out about it, $5 wrench attack. You know, if anyone finds out, you tell your girlfriend and she breaks up with you, she tells the mobster, comes over to your house with a wrench. It's obviously he can't force the confiscation, but he could conceivably kill you before you give it up. You see what I'm saying? So you can of course be coerced out of your Bitcoin because it's property, but yeah, it's very difficult.
Yes, you can do a $5 wrench attack, but again, that's obviously up to you to do it correctly.
Plus, if somebody kills you with the wrench, they don't get the Bitcoin like they would get your gold. So that's a big disincentive.
Right.
Well, if they have their body and it's imprinted on your body, they might be able to hack your body and get it.
Well, no,
But
because
then they will need to hack your memory as well.
yeah,
right?
they can't. Yeah, so the body, this is like you said, a combination with a brain wallet. A brain wallet is a password that you're remembering in your head. So if they knock you in the head, so the way to do it is really with torture. So that's why I've gone public today. I'm welcoming everybody to come and torture me for the small amount of Bitcoin that they'll be able to steal from me before I die. But I am maimed. It's that middle ground where you can.
And that's why you're one of my favorite Bitcoin people, Gabriel. That's why I wanted to address the second part of that question because I thought it was a good one, and that is that people. I don't see the question up there anymore, but is it going to use its usefulness? You know, where's the second part of it? I don't see it. Anyway, it was something because there's not very much Bitcoin, or because it is constantly getting lost and there's less and less, will it become not useful? Well, my mentor, and I don't know if you're familiar with E.C. Harwood, Gabriel, or not, but my mentor is E.C. Harwood, and he was outlined what he called the lost art of sound commercial banking. And I'm a big believer that until Bitcoin, we adapt and have a banking emerge in Bitcoin, that it will probably continue to be an extremely volatile vehicle. And I think that what I see in the future is that commercial banking is going to emerge, and it's going to probably emerge through merchants. There'll be merchants banking. And the way that works is that there is such a thing as non-inflationary purchasing media creation. And the way that was done, back in the day, and this is, it actually evolved in the 1800s and came to its peak and was then adopted by the Federal Reserve. And that is that the banks would actually create money ex nihilo out of nothing, but it wasn't really out of nothing because it represented the new goods that were coming into the marketplace. And they would make an estimate of what those goods were worth. Let's say you call it widgets or make it cars, and they would finance, pay the manufacturer or to create the media, credit him to his account. He could then pay his employees and suppliers and all that. And then as those notes come back, they're retired. So it's really called self-retiring commercial paper. And it was it's a way of creating, that's why we called it the gold standard. There was never, ounce per ounce representation that the gold was there, but it did represent all the other goods and services that were being offered into the marketplace. And that's why, I did a big thing on Roger Ver and Bcash, that gold never really was cash. The only time it was cash was during the California gold rush, when it was plentiful, and it cost you 4 ounces of gold for a pound of coffee, because shovels and picks, they were the things that were worth something. But on the East Coast, where the gold, that was a problem. You had to get that gold from the West Coast to the East Coast. There was a big arbitrage there, but it never really was circulating as money there. I mean, they had coins, but the gold coins, they didn't circulate, and that's why most all of them are in pristine condition. What did circulate was the silver and copper and other coins where there was seigniorage, that their intrinsic value of the coin was less. And of course, that was how, that's, in my mind, that's a legitimate way for governments to have income, is they create a useful cash. And that's why the seigniorage always used to be the privilege of the king. And the cool thing that I think we need to start looking at is Bitcoin. I think the Bitcoin hodlers of today will be the bankers of tomorrow. And I think we need to really figure out ways to be the bankers, and actually a way to coin money. The seigniorage should be going to the hodlers now rather than to the king. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on that, Gabriel, because I know you've thought a lot about that. Denationalization of money and separating money from state.
Yeah, I mean, I've not that much thought. I mean, you know, the free banking argument is really interesting. I do find that like some of the arguments I find somewhat anachronistic, and they feel like kind of trying to slap on old concepts onto a new paradigm, kind of like the idea of the, you know, calling automobiles horseless carriages, right? It was like trying to fit this new invention into the old conception of what the technology, of what transportation technology was, right, back then. And I do find that maybe half of the banking conversations go in that direction where I'm like, wait, why do we need that function? But of course, the two main functions of banking are lending and, of course, which is not even barely the case anymore, but also, you know, securing, what do they call it? It's you know, securing your assets. So you have like a bank vault with guards, right? That was the old function of a bank, and then they started lending it out on top of it. And I do believe there already are lending solutions, you know, lending startups that lend Bitcoin, and the reverse lending too, where they stake you fiat, and you get into a multi-sig with your Bitcoin, and if you stop paying back your fiat loan, they'll then finally take your Bitcoin, but you don't have to opt out of the volatility of your Bitcoin, things like that. There's so much totally new functionality that a programmable money enables that calling it banking is almost like you know, this anachronistic term. So I like to say, okay, there are these you know, services like BitGo. What can anybody remind me what it's called? Not restricting. No, Amerisource doesn't quite have it. But in any case, there's a name for it. It's where you're basically holding, and a lot of the legacy finance, old finance, I call it. A lot of legacy finance is actually based on these trusted third parties, which are meant to hold your, you know, hold your assets for you, because the entire system was entirely from the ground up, you know, third parties that you had no way to opt out of. And so all the laws are built around it. And so that's why it's so hard for them to deal with Bitcoin, which is all about sovereignty and owning your own, you know, money, and having complete and sovereign control over your own private keys and your own full node. But regarding banking, I am a little doubtful that banking is or let's say lending and third party you know, holding of assets is per se a sort of a goal, you know, a silver bullet, so to speak. What I think is going to happen, and is already, we can see it happening, is the functions of the bank are being atomized into their individual characteristics and fulfilled by niche players in the ecosystem in totally interesting new ways, and with multi-signature transactions and all the incredible, they're smart contracts, all these digitally signed, cryptographically secured agreements that can't be broken by anybody in the world. No authority exists in this system. And so I think that we're going to see, once again, those functions atomize, and there's going to be an incredible explosion of different types of lending and different types of co-ownership schemes that no banker could possibly have envisioned 50 years ago. So yes, those are going to affect the ecosystem and help it mature, create derivatives, all that type of stuff. But it's going to be so much more. And like the word banking is going to be, we won't even, it will be a historic term. We won't use it to describe this great proliferation of services, centralized and decentralized systems being created in order to fulfill literally thousands of times more types of financial interaction.
Wow, I like that, Gabriel. That's why I always like to pick your brain, because you kind of open. Yeah, I get it. You know, the things that are going to be developed, we don't even have names for yet, and you know, they haven't been conceived of. All we can do is we look at the gold standard and the emergence of that gold standard, and I think it's useful to look at that to see how the direction that we should take Bitcoin. So I don't think we should be ignorant of that, but I agree that it's going to be the terminology can change radically, and banking especially as we know it now. But I do think that the concept of money creation, of self-liquidating commercial paper, of non-inflation money creation, is going to be a prerequisite and for Bitcoin. That will happen. It's going to take a long time for it to evolve. But
What?
yeah, and it's a big question.
You're saying fiat built on top of Bitcoin is necessary for Bitcoin to succeed?
No.
Oh, okay. What are you
Not
saying?
fiat. I'm saying that the banks at the turn of the century created, not by fiat. I mean, it was a private fiat, I guess. They created it and people accepted it. It was a market fiat.
Right.
They created purchasing media, and it represented in other words, you couldn't come in and get a loan if you wanted to buy a car. The only way that would happen was the old savings and loan operation. Somebody would have to I think you were talking about that function where somebody is saving, and then they're the intermediary. I don't want a car, but this guy wants to buy a car. If you can close the deal, pay me 3% interest and charge him 5%, and they get 2%. That's the way, that's the savings and loan function. But the function of commercial banking is that they actually do create, it's a self-liquidating commercial paper that's created, but they have a lien on what they are creating that purchasing media to represent. So that's what a gold standard was. The gold wasn't there, but the hardcore automobile. Now you can make bad loans. For example, I'm sure if you're making loans to a buggy whip manufacturer at the turn of the century, that probably was not a really good loan to have for the long term.
There seems to be two camps in the fractional reserve among Austrian economics fans. There's definitely two camps. One of the camps says, hey, you know what? It's fine. Go ahead and create as much script as you want. And as long as there's nobody to bail you out and no backstop there, or as long as you're paying the market rate on the insurance to bail you out, if there's a bank run and you go out of business, then that's fine. It's gonna, the banks that give out bad loans are gonna go out of business, and it'll correct. And then there's another camp that says no, we need to attack them or make it illegal or do something to stop it because it's inherently immoral. Or I'm not able to very well describe that argument because it seems kind of ridiculous.
I can describe it. I can describe it perfectly. If you have a chance, you might read the show that Max and I did the other night. So this will be on the cruise, guys. We'll be talking about all this stuff. But Murray, basically, that's Murray Rothbard. That's why I'm not a big Murray Rothbard fan. Is that basically he wrote a paper, the case for 100% gold standard. And his proposal was by fiat, it was illegal to do anything but have 100% gold-backed currency.
Yeah, it seems like an awful use of violent force to do that. What you just need to do is, it seems silly to me. You let the banks go out of business. That's how markets function. But what you do is you just make it really clear. Anybody who looks into this at all sees, oh, these guys are printing money out of thin air. I don't want that shit. I'm not gonna ever hold on to that. Are you guys still there? Yeah. Am I still on the air? Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks. You just basically, the market sorts it out. And what I think is going to happen is that we're going to have such good systems in place that fractional reserve, there's already fractional reserve going on. Look at the exchange problems, right? They get hacked, they try to hide it, they try to balance and keep enough on hand to pay the people that are withdrawing from their exchange, and they're already doing a bit of fractional reserve as they can. But of course, the great thing there is there's no backstop. Governments don't bail them out. They go out of business, they go under, people lose their money, they lose their shirts. And so I think that's a good thing. And then the market's cleared out, just like Mt. Gox. It took a long time. It's still got ramifications, but the market really did get cleared out after that. And people started to understand better that they needed to hold their keys. And I think the same thing's is happening in Bitcoin, where there's these, sort of schemes where Bitcoin gets tied up in a totally centralized way, and the risk of collapse happens. And it's great that when it does collapse, because then it reveals the fraud and it's resolved, and the Bitcoin economy becomes more anti-fragile over time. But I will say the most exciting thing about, like we talked about, all the new financial services that are being created now and will be in the future. What's really exciting is this area in between decentralized and centralized, which was not able to be explored very much before because we had the limitations of meat space. You had gold and you had metals, which is a pretty freaking decentralized situation. Although you can kind of control it, it's still, hand-to-hand pieces of metal. People owned it themselves in their chest, under their floorboards, whatever. It's pretty decentralized. And then you had government fiat, right? Totally on the other end, 100% controlled, centralized. With Bitcoin, we've got Bitcoin itself, which is very, very decentralized, and then exchanges, right, which are completely centralized, totally custodianship. That's the word I was looking for earlier with banks, custodianship and lending, right? So, but with Bitcoin, now we are exploring the middle space, which is totally fascinating. So you've got the totally centralized exchanges, but then next to that, a couple of shades over, is what we call federated situations, where instead of one counterparty, you've got 12 or 5 or 26 or 50 or 100. They're not even close to half and half, probably federated compared to thousands and thousands of nodes and everything in Bitcoin. But nevertheless, it's like a little bit moving toward more decentralized. It's a lot. It makes a pretty big difference. This is a great example. Liquid sidechain built by Blockstream. Blockstream built it. They have this extra. It's an extra blockchain that they have a little bit of, they don't have actual control over it. It's actually the stakeholders, and there's like 16 of them or whatever. And so basically there would have to be, 9 counterparties coming together to defraud you, which is totally could happen, but it's less likely than just a single person, taking it over and boom, they've stolen everything. So, and then we've got Lightning Network, which is a system that's built on top of the very decentralized Bitcoin system with a little bit more risk of loss, possible slight risk of centralization here and there, where if somebody tries to make a hub, it's just slightly less decentralized. So we're like creeping in toward these middle areas, and they have different trade-offs. Lightning Network has these amazing privacy and speed features, and you're giving a little bit of a trade-off on the security in order to buy that. And it's really amazing because those trade-offs increase the utility of the system hugely. So that's a really, really exciting thing.
Yeah, well, I think too that some of the things that you're talking about there, Gabriel, they really aren't any different from what emerged out of the gold standard, because what happened while each bank was, creating purchasing media, lending out of nothing for the new goods coming into the market, all these banknotes were floating around, and so they had to have a centralized exchange. They all had a clearinghouse that they were all a member of, so they could clear each other's notes. Now, the same thing happens in the commodities. In back in the day, I was a commodities futures broker and securities dealer, but the exchanges there are the same. That when you have an exchange membership, the retail customer would never get hurt. Now, one of the exchange members might have gotten in serious trouble, and then all of the other exchange members would have to come in and bail them out. And sometimes the value of that membership might be $1 million this year, and the next year 200,000, because everybody had to pony up to bail somebody out. So those are the things that develop, and that's why, that liquid network is just a great concept. And then there's new things that are developing. One of my heroes in the space, and I tweeted out his interview, and that is Arthur Hayes, because of what he's done. Guys, say what you want, but he's created a platform where you can have $100 and turn it into a fortune. You used to be able to do that in the United States. You can't anymore. And yet, if you're a United States citizen, you can't have a BITMEX account. Now, these are one of these frontline battles that's going to be fought, because I know Arthur's doing everything he can to keep the United States government. If he knows that you're a United States citizen or has any suspicion that you are, your account gets closed. Mine got closed. And all my affiliates got shut down. All that, too bad. We don't deal with you. Okay. And that's a sad commentary. It really is. Like I said, the new America is not the United States. I'm sorry, folks, but if you live in the United States, you're living under some severe restrictions of freedom that you're just not aware of. And so that's where I'm going to be. Hopefully, I don't know. I want to do a good article, so I'm still doing my research. But I just want to throw that out for thoughts, because I know that he's under scrutiny now. I printed that article. People are worried. Well, the CFT is investigating. Well, I'm really in his corner, and I understand he's basically setting himself up to say, look, we don't deal with. As soon as we know it's a citizen, we shut him down entirely. You don't have jurisdiction over us. And I remember the day when the FBI was only in the United States. Well, FBI and CIA and DEA, they're all over the world now. And what are we doing in everybody's business? I mean, we have no business there. And that's the real, a very real threat that I see. And the threat to the free market, the threat to Bitcoin is going to come from the United States. That's my belief. And I hope I'm wrong.
I actually need to sign off soon, but I wanted to answer one more question that I think requires a bit of a shutdown. This is, if I may, I need to go soon. Sorry about that. So we've got a question from Chris Lloyd, who's very polite, but I think your question is very misguided here. He says, the sound money argument for mass manufacturing that we were talking about in the chat, where I was saying that there would be less crap manufactured because there will be less malinvestment under a sound money system. It brings thoughts of worldwide unemployment coupled with automation that might be a perfect storm for a Bitcoin universal basic income. So he's talking about universal basic income is this idea of instead of taxation and then for the government choosing how they spend the money for the people, they actually just give them cash back. They give everybody a certain amount of cash, universal basic income so everybody gets whatever, $500 a month or some amount from the government. So there's two very big problems with your question, which indicate that to me that it will absolutely never, ever, ever, ever happen. One of the problems with your question is worldwide unemployment.
I'm tired.
What happened to the line?
We lost your sound.
Yeah.
You're muted, Gabriel.
You're muted, Gabriel. How do I unmute him? Is he muted? How do you unmute him?
Sorry, I think I might have done that.
Okay.
So this idea of worldwide unemployment coupled with automation, his indicate this is the socialist idea of like, oh, the machines are going to take all our jobs. It's the Luddite, 18th century, the loom, creators got all the hand, creation of textiles in Britain were like, oh, we're going to go smash the looms and that'll solve our problem. Well, no, because technology always moves forward. But the thing is, people then do different things with their time and be productive in better ways. So we have this automation going on where robots nowadays, or just machines, doing the work that was previously done by human beings. The more sophisticated the machines, the more sophisticated the work that they can take over from human beings. And so we have all our most, whatever we can get automated frees us up to do more complex stuff and build more wealth in the society. That's a good thing. This idea of our automation making worldwide unemployment is like a mid-20th century perspective of like, oh, well, we've got these factories. And then if we have too many robots, all the factory workers will get laid off. Well, yes. And that is a very tough transition sometimes. But if you have a system that isn't like these public schools, which is teaching people to be clerks and slaves in these factories, instead, if we have a more free society and a free economy where people are learning things out of their own interests and looking for opportunities and being entrepreneurs and micro entrepreneurs, I think that we're actually moving toward that situation. And so I don't believe we're going to have worldwide unemployment. We're going to have incredible opportunities. Anybody that jumps online can get jobs now if they just work hard enough. Not anybody, but really more and more people, let's say. So I don't believe in this worldwide unemployment coupled with
It's a very big canard, and I think can be explained very easily. I think maybe Henry Hazlitt did it. There's an unlimited number of wants. We can automate, but all that creates, we can do this now. It's always unlimited number of wants. It's just like, well, I can't find a job. Well, no, I've always worked. I've always been able to find a job. Now, it may not be what I want to do at the time, but I guarantee you, by taking that job and eating crow and being a little bit humble, it opens up all kinds of opportunities for you later.
Exactly. So these things, you're not unique. That's everybody. So this idea of worldwide unemployment with automation, no. Automation is going to make us automation where the wealth created in the economy is not being siphoned off into inflation and via taxation and wasted and stolen by governments worldwide. It will recirculate in the economy, and everybody will be risen in this rising tide. Bitcoin universal basic income is a ridiculous concept on its face, because that means that either there's a centralized entity that's taxing you, and or a centralized entity which is creating money out of thin air via inflation and lending it to the government. Neither of those things can ever happen under Bitcoin. So you're talking about charities with Bitcoin, just like charities were huge in the 19th century under the gold standard or just gold economy. If you were wealthy and you built up all this wealth, it was very worth it to you to do real philanthropy, not 20th century government philanthropy, aid programs, which are actually just propaganda marketing to convince people that countries are doing good when they're actually just bribing the leaders of banana republics. In a sound money economy, individuals are become philanthropists for many different reasons. I actually talked about that on my talk. So check out my YouTube talk that I did for Neil Woodfine a couple of years ago. It's on my Twitter profile right at the top of my bio.
Just send it to us, and edit. Jesus will put it on the credits here on this show. Okay.
Great. Actually, Jesus, you can grab it from my Twitter profile at Garbriel D Vine. Just grab it from the bio. Or actually, no, it's my pinned tweet. That's my talk.
Jesus is sound asleep over here. Yeah, Jesus is sound asleep over here. So
okay. Speaking of sleeping, I need to go, and thank you so much for your great questions. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and many other great Bitcoiners, almost none of whom I've met in real life. So I'm really looking forward to smelling them.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm so glad that we did hook up, because I've been a fan of yours forever. You have an open invitation to drop in or drop out whenever. Okay. I'll try to order the link, or I'll put it on a central. I think you need to get on a Telegram so you can get it automatic. But I've always loved, you were one of my favorite, you and Tone Days were my favorite guys on World Crypto Network by far. I just, a lot of them I didn't care for, but I always loved your message. That's why I wanted to get you on my first conference. I want Garbriel D Vine.
Yes, thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys really soon. Looking forward to the next couple of months. I'll be prepping my talk. I'll be filling you in on the details. Okay.
Cool. All right.
Okay,
well, remember, you got to hodl, save, build a, sound money. You're going to have to learn that for this conference, because we're all going to get up and make fools of ourselves.
You know what? I'm going to be seasick for those 10 minutes. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Much love. Hodl.
All right. Wow. And then there's Garbriel D Vine, because what do you think of that guy? I think he'll be a good contributor to the cruise, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I like his thinking. I was also watching him on World Crypto Network, and I like his thinking. Is very, freedom driven, competence driven, as opposed to corruption and control. And yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I just want to mention say something about Ugly. You said that we're no longer living in United States of America, and that stopped being true in 1916. And yes, they fought the war with British and they fend them off and they gained their independence. Over 2% tax, guys, over 2% tax. Now, in 1916, Federal Reserve managed, because they tried it quite a few times, but they managed in 1916 to put it into a law. And they coerced and tricked Woodrow Wilson to do that. And Woodrow Wilson said, with a deep regret, he said, I'm most unhappy man. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by its credit system. You know, so 1916,
1913 or 1916? 1913 or 1916? The
so
creation
19
was 1913.
but 1916, I remember that date. That was the official date of the Federal Reserve creation. I think before that they tried, but it failed, and I think 1916 is the date that it started. You know, but that's the
Well,
date.
I think it's 13, but we'll see.
Sure. I mean, you can
I
check on the
don't-
date.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, because I was confused when you say 1916. Is there something that happened there that I didn't know about? But I think the creation was actually 1913.
Okay, could
But
be.
if there's something that happened in 1916, I need to know, because I'm pretty sure that the creation was 1913. That was also the year my father was born. So there's a lot that happened in my life in 1913.
Okay. All right. We can check that later. But the idea is that United States of America regained the freedom from central banking-driven British imperialism, right? They gained their own freedom and they had great ideas, but they lost it. They won that war, but they lost the ideology that they had. In 1960, the British imperialism managed to infect the United States of America, and just like we saw the worldwide pretty much like invasion of British Empire, the same virus now is doing with the United States of America and acting exact same. You cannot change it. You can put the central banking into any kind of superpower, and you will get this result. You will have this what we're seeing right now. The only way to stop that is to stop this type of credit system, right? Everything else was really sound, and it seems to me that the only way it's going to happen is through Bitcoin, right? That's why I'm saying that Bitcoin is the most American thing ever invented. It's about the freedom. It's about the competence. It's about against corruption, right? And that's why I think that people, American people, should be behind Bitcoin. And they should
agree.
be patriotic. Yeah, they should be patriotic, more patriotic, and not to say that this United States government, is our government. This is not your government.
No, you and your friend. I mean, that's the insight. That one interview that you did with your friend that wrote the book, about Bitcoin, and that both of you grew up under the Soviet Union, and it's just amazing, how clearly you guys can see it, but most Americans just don't. They don't. Now, a lot of us do, but so many. The run of the mill, the average American doesn't get it. They really believe they still live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, it might be the home of the brave. We're going to find that out. I'm doubting that too. I don't think there's that many brave Americans anymore. But it doesn't take a lot of us to be brave to win freedom. So, and that's what Bitcoin's really all about.
So, United States is not
United States
is right now. United States is like a zombie. You think that the government said to do that, or government decided. No, government is a marionette. Government is marionette to the central banking system, right? So it's almost like it doesn't even have its own say. Even if the group of people in the United States government would say like, hey, let's just change things around, let's agree on things, let's make things better, they're still not up to them. So you can elect the best people out there, the most decent people, the most forward-looking people, and you will still not get the result.
Kestutis, look at this. Our Anna Leo said, yes, the Fed was created in 1913. She checked it on Google. But Dan Bowling said it was signed into law in 1916. So there you go. And by and then and I think that the history stuff by 1917, we were in a war that we should have never gotten into. And and it would if the American people would have had to pay for it, it wouldn't have happened. But they could, because they could print money. We got entangled in things what the elite wanted to get entangled with. It's an incredible. Bitcoin's just incredible. It really is the new America, people, and we are the founding fathers. If you're a Bitcoin hodler, you are a founding father of the new America. So somebody was asking, can you scroll down, Eddie? They wanted to know about.
That's a good way of saying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what will happen with BITMEX in the government? They will shut down, or we'll need to do KYC. We don't know. We don't know. They shouldn't have to do. Look, KYC and AML all came out of that terrorist act that came after 9/11 that they pushed through Congress. And somebody said, yeah, Chase closes down. I've had like 5 U.S. bank accounts. Yeah, Chase closed my bank down. So did Bank of America. So did U.S. Bank. They didn't seize my funds, but they, because they knew I was into Bitcoin and they knew I was arbitraging and wiring funds for Bitcoin, I had every major bank closed me down. And in the one case, I know Bank of America, it was like pulling teeth. They didn't even let me log in. I couldn't access any of my records, and I had to threaten suit even to get my records. And they still wouldn't let me back in the website. They just sent them to me. So, it is a real big problem. And, I just take my hands off, because look, if they get AML and KYC, then you're not going to be, believe me, you can't open an account with a major U.S. brokerage that's regulated and all that crap for $100 and start trading. You can't do it. But
Guys,
you can in
BITMEX is not. Yeah, I just want to add something, guys. BITMEX is not United States company, and they obey the laws that that they're in, and do not accept United States customers. That's all they do. United States cannot force them to obey sort of United States laws, because they do not provide the service to United States citizens. So as far as all the laws concerned, they are not breaking a single one.
Well, here's the problem, is that the United States government extends its big long arm and its bully chest, and it goes into these treaties, which supersede the Constitution. It's right in the Constitution that the treaties can't, they're the law of the land. They supersede the Constitution. If we have a treaty that's unconstitutional, the treaty rules, but that is the problem. And they have these treaties that they claim jurisdiction, that if you have a U.S. citizen trading on your exchange, we have jurisdiction over that. That is their claim. And most of the world accepts that. Now, the Achilles does not, or I don't know, how do you pronounce that? It's a strange way to pronounce it. It doesn't have that. They don't recognize it. Now, hey, it's an island. They have no military. It's a completely paper setup, but it's a legal setup that is absolutely legitimate. And, I guarantee you all the big players use BITMEX. And so that's one of the biggest security features that you have. I also think that every indication that I have is Arthur Hayes is very much a man of integrity. I know some people think exactly the opposite, but I can tell you what, there's very few people that have more knowledge of the markets and how they work than I do. And the guy has really, I have the deepest, in high regard for this guy. I mean, I really do, because what he's done is absolutely fantastic. And I did tweet out his interview that he had, and you guys need to listen to it. That'll be one of the features of why Bitcoin is the new America. And I can't even trade on it. You know, the G.Lady can. She's Mexican citizen. She, you know, she had nothing to do with the United States, but I can't.
I can.
Yeah, yeah. Jesus can trade on it, but I can't. I can't. I guess somebody said that U.S. citizens can't trade on Deribit either now. So, look, you guys aren't free. You're just not. You're regulated, and it ain't helping you a bit. And you know what? You don't have anybody to blame but yourselves. You need to, you need to go to your congressman and say, "Hey, why is this market closed to me? I thought we believed in free markets."
Yeah.
Well, even if that congressman does believe in the free market, it's not up to him.
Yeah, I mean,
And by the way, the BITMEX, like I said, is not a United States company, and they are obeying the laws. And if United States government, or I don't know who's actually incentivized to do that, like Ugly saying, extend their arm into other countries, then who's breaking the law? Who's breaking the law, right? So,
well, part of it too. I mean, I don't put it past the CFTC is trying to extend their arm, because the only thing that competes a little bit with them would be the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Now, I've traded a lot on the SME. Chicago Mercantile Exchange is probably the best futures market in the United States. But you guys don't understand the difference. And that's why I really like this interview that Arthur Hayes did. He's come up with a program where you can trade and you're not risking your entire net worth. You don't seem to understand that if you trade futures on CME and that position goes against you, you have signed away your entire livelihood. You can't meet a margin call, and there'll be times when the market's going to get away from you and you can't. You are still legally obligated. And I've been caught on that. And I've had to meet margin calls of hundreds of thousands. And you know what? It's not fun. And, you only have a few days, they give you a little grace, but then before the legal actions comes into play. But the thing is, BitMEX has created a vehicle where you can come in, and you can lose, all you can lose with BitMEX is what you put in there. That's it. No more. And that's not true with any exchange in the United States. Okay, all right. You know what? David Eck, I don't know who David Eck is, and I don't know. I've never met a reptilian. So, well, maybe I have, and I just don't know.
So Marisol is posting about, Marisol is posting about David Icke. It's very interesting view. Like, he's a very forward-thinking guy, and he's talking about what is the deepest problem that we're having, and it's actually we're all, as humans, we have a much higher capacity for morals and things, but a lot of us use the reptilian value system, right? So if you are a running Federal Reserve, right, and you want to control the entire world, you're doing this out of reptilian value system. The need for the control comes out of insecurity in that type of system. And you are just like an addict, can't help but keep printing money, right? You're addicted to it. You're addicted to the control and keep printing money. And no one ever in the world will tell you to stop that, right? So that's why we have a lot of powerful people that have reptilian value systems, and that is in the deepest sense what is wrong with the world right now. And now we're having few people kind of waking up and getting rid of these reptilian value systems and that world of scarcity, and embracing the world of abundance. And people are saying like, oh, people are going to break your kneecaps and take your Bitcoin. No, the Bitcoin is going to change the world in such extent that nobody will want to take your money, because they will have plentiful. People will be much more generous. We already see that. Andreas Antonopoulos was so-called bitch-shamed, on Twitter, and he gained $1 million worth Bitcoin, a few days later. So Bitcoiners are much more generous people. So
Yeah, and that's going to be a very important part of Bitcoin's survival in the future, and this freedom idea is that as Bitcoiners, as hodlers, we really have to watch each other's backs. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that. If there's a Bitcoiner gets in trouble, they're going to be able to count on us, on other people to bail them, not, to help them out, to at least relieve their families. So, they may not be able to escape the tyranny personally, but their families will be taken care of. There's a really good question, Roselle. He says, not a really question, just a statement which I will expound upon, and I agree with. The reason all of these exchange inquiries by the U.S. is happening around this time is because both Fidelity and Backit BTC product is coming out soon. They're trying to remove the competition. Yeah, I think that's a very, very logical, and it's the nature of regulation. And I'd say the regulation does not open up competition; it closes it. Now, the problem with competition is you have all this. Like, for example, we had a lot of bad exchanges before BITMEX emerged. I got caught on Big Vern, big cryptocurrency. I got caught on 2 or 3 exchanges. I got caught on BitMEX for their 30% haircut. So it took a while to work this out. But I guarantee you, I've been around the block. I've had large open interest on some major exchanges in the world. Okay, I'm not a unexperienced trader. I know the markets. Okay. And I guarantee you that is the most sophisticated market that I've ever seen anywhere. And Arthur Hayes is just a brilliant young man who's offered this and figured it out. Now, yes, I do think that is, you have to remember that the ones that write the rules are the big interests, and that can be, you need to go look no farther than the New York Agreement. The person that wrote the laws is now, working for Ripple and all these other companies. Basically, America and the United States, I love our Constitution, but our nation is thoroughly corrupt, and our government is thoroughly corrupt. Now, the difference, it's a hidden corruption, which is actually more deceitful. I live in Mexico, and it's thoroughly corrupt too, but I call it an honest corruption because you can see it and you can deal with it. But this type of corruption that you're saying, for example, the investigation of BitMEX, well, yes, it is instigated because the CFTC, all the people that are in that little regulatory group are part of the Chicago Board of Trade, the CME, all these other firms. And so, yes, you can't put it together, and you probably could if you knew all the pieces, but you can assume if you just use logic and you know how bureaucracies work and how regulatory, when laws come into effect, the biggest lobbyist group are the businesses themselves, and they are conspiring to protect their own business. And yes, Arthur Hayes should win the Nobel Prize in economics, as far as I'm concerned, because he took a free market exchange to a new level that no one could imagine. And guys, it's incredible, and it's a tremendous opportunity. That's why I'm going to be working here with Jesus on these little $100 accounts, because I'd love to see some of you guys with $100 turn it into $1 million. I'm not going to give you recommendations, but I can see right now I'm going to have to teach. He doesn't even know how to work the platform. So some of you that are in that level, I'll work with you, but you'll learn the principles that I'm teaching you, and the rest will all fit into place. If you get my trading record, I'm not the best trader in the world. You guys can be a lot better traders than I am. Every one of you can be, but I got it down on how to manage an account, and that's why I will match my track record, not my market calls. I don't know where the market's going. No clue, but I guarantee you, I can get more bang for the buck than anybody out there. And I'll take more out than, with a little bit than anybody else out there. And yeah, I can do the big, I get in, people wanting to manage their funds. I don't want to manage funds. I don't want, look, I'm 70 years old. I don't even need it. I have this beautiful wife and wonderful children who I ignore all the time because I love that my heart is here, but my emotions and all my, everything that I am goes to this woman in our family. And so those are the important things. Those are really the important things. And yeah, we think that what we're doing is so important, but you know, in the total scheme, it really isn't. The most important thing is, what did I do with my daughter today? You know, what did I do with our sons? And I fall so short on all those things. So, all right, I'm done with that. We're probably had enough tonight. So any other questions?
Last one.
Which one?
The one is in blue.
What do
What
I
do you think about
I
that?
haven't tried there. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I mean, I'm there. My problem is you know, it's hard to change when you're old. And when you learn something, you just want to stay with that, you know, and I'm so comfortable with BITMEX. It's like, you know, I don't have, so I need to get on there and do it, but my plate's full. Hey, if you guys want to free up my time, go to the conference. I'm trying to get this thing sold out so I don't have to deal with that anymore. So if you're not, you know, talk about it with your wife or whatever, take her on a cruise. This, you know, I guarantee you it will be money well spent. It just will be. I mean, it's going to be incredible. And I'm going to put on the best people. And you know, we're already talking, you saw what Gabriel's going to put a lot. He says, yeah, I got 2 months to work on this. Yeah, I want you to work on it.
Good question.
And, you know, Tyler's going to come up with the 10 pillars of Bitcoin. He taught me the 5 pillars. He's got 5 more. Man, I want to know that. In fact, I need to go back and listen to that because he did say what the 10 were. I just said, don't go into them yet. Wait for my conference. So what's
That is the last one.
I am in the U.S. Should I get out of BITMEX? Well, that's up to you. I mean, if you are able to, they're not going to take your money. If they find out that you're in the U.S., they are, they will simply say, you have to show us, you know, that you're not a U.S. citizen, but they don't, according to their rules, you can't even, if you're a foreigner and you go to the U.S. and you trade there, they don't want you. Don't trade BITMEX from the United States. Now, people use the VPNs, but I guarantee you, the minute there's any suspicion that you're a U.S. citizen, BITMEX is not going to, they're going to shut you down in a heartbeat. Now, they're not going to take your money. You will be able to take your, now, if the CFTC somehow gets their foot in the door, and all of a sudden you see this big sign, FBI, this website has been closed down, you may not get your money back then, but it's not going to be because of Arthur Hayes. It's going to be because of some corrupt government stealing your money. And you know, that's the difference. So no, I mean, as long as, you know, all I can tell you is if it's not illegal for you to trade on BITMEX. However, if you do, then, and BITMEX knows you're a U.S. citizen, you have just jeopardized their whole business model. You know, my good friend Tone Bates, he promoted BITMEX and had a substantial affiliate code, and he lost it all. I did too. I mean, I didn't pick up that much, but I think I picked up almost a whole Bitcoin the year before they shut me down from just affiliates, and that's gone. I'll never recover, and they won't dare. They can't touch me. They don't want anything to do with me because I'm a United States citizen. And you know, it's sad because I'm having to weigh, do I want to give up my citizenship? And it's a hard question. You know, it's something that I have to seriously consider for the benefit of my family. So, you guys, you know, if you're a U.S. citizen, fight to get your freedom back because you've lost it. You've lost it. You need to roll up your sleeves and start fighting, because you're going to have to fight to get your freedom back. Is that it? Okay, I'm going to probably be doing Ask Ugly Anything tomorrow. Just if you want to come on, I need to do. I got to shill the conference again, and so I'll probably do it tomorrow afternoon. But hey, this has been a good session. I'm really glad Gabriel came on. He's one of my favorite contributors. He's going to be great at the conference, and he's a musician. He's more like I am. I don't have. He knew all these guys that have the economics degrees and stuff. I'm a self-taught economist, as is Gabriel. So that's kind of where we both find things in common. And I want you guys to be successful. Oh, I was going to say too, Bitcoin Jesus is not going to restrict his Telegram account to members. So if you're not a member and you look at this program, you want to get into his website, I will join it. I don't promise I'm going to be on there very much, but it's mainly where you go in there with $100 on BITMEX and see what you can do with it. You need to learn trading. Kestutis, I put that in a newsletter. He just came out with a great video, and he says, you know what? You don't get into the ring as a white belt going against black belts, and that's what you're doing. If you're going into BITMEX, okay, and you think you're a trader, you remember you're trading against somebody like me. And, I'll eat your lunch. And I'm an ugly old goat. I eat records. I mean, that's look at my tummy. I'm hungry. I eat anything. And records are my favorite food. So you guys, that's what you're up against. And you have to train yourself. You have to, you can't just go into this ring and not be thoroughly trained and have knowledge of what you're doing. And so you do it in a very, very small way. And of course, I'm of the belief I don't even want to be a big trader anymore. I'm real happy with where I'm at. And, because that's a different way of trading too. If I was managing $100 million or something like that, and I'm on BITMEX, I'm trading that, you can't do it the way I'm doing. It's a lot more sophisticated. So anyway, I'm done. You got anything else to say, Kestutis? Should we call it a night? Too bad you're not down here. We can go to Pampas and have some.
Oh yeah, I love Pampas. Yeah, we always go there after.
All right.
Yeah, maybe next time. So let's do that AMA tomorrow, and I'm going to be preparing something for the Bitcoin cruise as well. Something special, and yeah, so hope the viewers got some value out of today's show, and the subscribers. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Well, let's do the dance and get out of here. You ready? Here we go. Are you got to that? Can you do it? Okay. Here we go. All right. Let me get the camera up a little bit. Okay. Pull it back. Okay. Here we go. Hodl, hodl. Save.
Builder.
Sound money. All right.
All right, boys. Good night.